There's an ongoing development at the Kabul airport. There's explosions. Americans have died. There are multiple fatalities reported following 2 explosions outside of Kabul airport. A Taliban spokesperson confirms. Todd Starnes says for every American that was killed, a city in Afghanistan should be wiped off the face of the earth. Again, like, that's what this... Look, let's take a look at what this guy looks like, okay? This is the face of a man who's out here being like, a entire Afghan city should be wiped off the face of the earth. Like, you, dude. Like, absolutely yourself, dude. Again, domestically, we just send SEAL Team 6 into the house of this dipshit, okay? In the middle of the night with guns. They raid the house that he's in, rip him away in his nice silk pajamas in the middle of the night, okay? Then they put him on a goddamn plane. They fly the plane out directly to Afghanistan. Directly. Just one shot. You know, we're sending U.S. Special Forces to all of the houses of the people that are like, we need to murder every Afghan citizen, okay? And then you put a parachute and a gun that may or may not work, and you just drop them while they're in that state where they're like, I don't know what's going on. Oh my God. And then they just like fucking literally just drop them. Okay. No need to like teach them how to use a parachute or anything like that. Just fucking drop them into Afghanistan. You know, like Fortnite, dude. Motherfuckers think that it's like battle royale out there. Just send them instead. Murat Gazdiev says that the blast we just heard was reportedly a Taliban vehicle hitting an improvised explosive device. I've seen this footage circulating on the internet as well. This was apparently a Taliban vehicle hitting an improvised explosive device in central Kabul. The BBC is reporting that 60 have been killed and 140 have been injured. 60 Afghans have been killed, with 140 injured in the explosions at Kabul airport, according to the senior health official there. There were twin bomb attacks and then another third bomb, if I'm not mistaken. There were twin bomb attacks that claimed a dozen lives outside of Kabul airport. And I believe there was a third attack as well, right? Why would the Taliban do this on their own, chat? For those of you who think fucking the Taliban is doing this, don't be delusional. I thought you were saying Talibans were not hostile. Dude, look, I don't know. It could be, but it's incredibly fucking unlikely that the Taliban would do this. Why the fuck would they do this to themselves? They have no interest in American military action still staying there. They've been collaborating with international authorities this entire time. It's now their city. And also, the United States has been warning about the ISIS-K, which is like the Afghan ISIS branch, potentially doing a terror attack. For the past couple of days, Joseph Robinette Biden mentioned it, as you recall. ISIS and the Taliban are in war with one another, okay? The ISIS-K in Afghanistan and the Taliban are always at war with one another. Just because they're both brown and Muslim doesn't mean they fucking, you know, they're side by side and homies, okay? Please remember that. It's very difficult, I know, especially if you're American, where you're like, what? I don't understand. They're all brown. A lot of them wear like similar drip. Like, what the fuck? That makes no sense. Like, why doesn't the USA and NATO storm the airport in Kabul and take all the people? Are there much Talibans there? I cannot understand that. They are not fighting against the Taliban. The NATO and USA are literally fighting side by side with the Taliban. I know this sounds really weird because like until 3 months ago, they were fighting against the Taliban. Taliban are not attacking. As far as we know, all signs point to a separate militant group, ISIS-K, which is the ISIS in Afghanistan, that has been warring with the Taliban. So just forget everything you know about the Taliban. If all you know about the Taliban is that they're like fucking bloodthirsty animals who just want to fucking do murder for the fun of murder, or whatever the fuck the United States military has like, or United States media has taught you thus far. They are fighting against ISIS. These attacks very likely are done by ISIS. That's what the media is saying. ISIS-K specifically. The Afghanistan ISIS. Yeah, armed Taliban were protecting U.S. military bases from ISIS up until the withdrawal. As U.S. prepared to exit, Taliban protected foreign bases but killed Afghans. They are now, like, Taliban is now the Afghan security forces, okay? That's what they are. They are the standing army of Afghanistan. They are the Afghan government. That's what they're doing. Their job is to now protect their own citizens because this is now their government.
Can you give us your assessment of the ISIS threat going forward? What are you seeing on the ground now? Are people able to get onto the airport now?
The threat from ISIS is extremely real. We've been talking about this for several days. We believe it is their desire to continue those attacks, and we expect those attacks to continue. And we're doing everything we can to be prepared for those attacks. That includes reaching out to the Taliban, who are actually providing the outer security cordon around the airfield to make sure they know what we expect them to do to protect us.
Oh, that's interesting. So they are fucking collaborating with the Taliban. That's weird, right? Wait, but the 14-year-old dumbass chatters were telling me that the Taliban are the bad guys here, and they're the ones who did the bombing, right? That's so weird, dude. Hey, chatters, you want to go fucking cry to the American general too? Bro, there's no better indication that these motherfuckers are bloodthirsty for more war and don't give a single fuck about like the actual, like dealing with the actual situation on the ground than how quickly every single Republican turned this into, we need to impeach Biden right now. Like, yeah, that's how you solve this problem. Like, as though Joe Biden was coordinating the fucking defense. Joe Biden is a sock puppet, okay? He's a meat puppet. That's what he is. He, like, literally fucking sits in a cryo chamber all goddamn day, and then they wheel him out for, like, 5.5 minutes for him to read a teleprompter and go, cut the malarkey, Jack, okay? Go ahead, impeach him. Nothing is gonna happen. It's not Joe Biden. It's his cabinet that is, like, orchestrating all of this. And so far, they've even basically admitted that this was going to happen. They mentioned it days ago. H.R. McMaster says Kabul blasts are what happens when you surrender to a terrorist organization. Does H.R. McMaster know that American soldiers were killed in Afghanistan while he was national security advisor? Not only that, but like, wait, this fucking guy, H.R. McMaster, is he unaware that like the previous administration executed this deal? Like, there is nothing that the U.S. forces can do at this point. This is just a part of the fucking evacuation. Here is HR Dumbfuck Master talking.
You may hear this is ISIS-K or whatever, but these terrorist organizations exist in an ecosystem along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border and now all across Afghanistan, in which they share people and resources. You know, Siraj Haqqani is the military commander of the Taliban, and he's a central figure in Al-Qaeda. This is a myth, right, that the Taliban is separate from Al-Qaeda and these other groups. I would not be surprised in any way if ISIS-K was used, this attack, their Kabul attack network.
Dude, it's so annoying to see these like dumb fucks write like fancy little books about working under Donald Trump, okay, as like national security advisor and all this other shit, and then turn around and act like, you know, they themselves, through all of their experience in the fucking field, didn't engage in similar, if not worse, amounts of fucking casualties. Like Trump's second fired NSA National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster is on the TV advocating for further war, who just called the Taliban the enemies of all humanity and blames the current situation on the neo-isolationist far right and the self-loathing far left. Doesn't mention George W. Bush. He also doesn't mention himself. McMaster the Hawk used pictures of Afghan women in skirts in the 70s to push Trump into sending more troops to Afghanistan in 2017. He once threatened a preventive war with a nuclear-armed North Korea too.
Used as a cutout for the Taliban, so they can humiliate us on the way out and still continue to play us, because I don't think...
I love that, dude. Yeah, thank you for, you know, dialing in from your fucking nice house in Stanford, California, that you probably purchased by writing a book about how terrible it was to, like, work with Donald Trump, despite the fact that you worked with every other prior administration and absolutely played a fundamental fucking role, in, like, escalating conflict and many casualties. Okay, fucking Stanford, California, like Stanford University, whatever.
So now what I would just ask, what was it worth it, really? You know, what would be a better outcome? You know, a sustained commitment of a few thousand U.S. troops who were continuing to enable the Afghans to bear the brunt of this fight, or this catastrophe that we're seeing now, right? We had this end the endless wars narrative, Jim, but hey, guess what? You know, this is an endless jihad that the enemies of all civilized people are waging.
Dude, oh my God, what a fucking thumb, dude. I mean, straight up, like, this is what happens when you're Thumbelina, okay? Just, they promote you to the highest levels of, like, the military apparatus. The more thumb-like you are, the higher your rank is. And this motherfucker is just a straight thumb. Ben Shapiro says, impeach. Hundreds, if not thousands of Americans stranded in Kabul at the mercy of the Taliban, ISIS, and Al-Qaeda for no reason. Hundreds of thousands of Afghan allies in danger of mass murder for no reason. Wounded or dead Americans in Kabul for no reason. Now, let me point to something. And I will be honest. I will be brutally honest here for a second. If Donald Trump was president right now, because he's still my real president in my heart, obviously, this probably was going to happen in an identical capacity. Let's be fucking perfectly clear. Obviously, there is a lot of volatility in the end of and the subsequent evacuation of a permanent occupation for 20 years. There's gonna be a lot of fucking problems. We all know this. You have to be a fucking delusional moron. if you don't recognize that, right? Joe Biden has been relatively honest about the problems since the problems started occurring, even though he was very dishonest originally, saying like, oh yeah, they're going to hold off. They're going to hold off, Jack. No, the fuck they weren't. And I suspect that they chose to look like idiots rather than look like people who were offering Afghanistan on a silver platter to the Taliban after many, many years of, agitating against them, right? As a terror cell that we must eradicate. That's why they chose to look like fucking idiots and to say, oh, the intelligence just wasn't there. If Trump was in charge right now of the evacuation, then yes, of course, similar things would be happening. And yes, liberals would be asking for him to be impeached as well. They would be banging the war drums just as hard, if not harder, saying that we absolutely need to stay here. Okay? And that's the difference between me and like idiots like Ben Shapiro. I would say the exact same thing that I'm saying now, that if Trump actually ended up doing this evacuation, that he would be doing the right thing. And that these kinds of calculated precision strikes and these kind of like IED explosions are, of course, a given in a potential power vacuum. There's a power vacuum. There's a lot of instability, additional instability if the U.S. Chooses to stay in Afghanistan only benefits those like ISIS, because then the Taliban are preoccupied with dealing with the United States military if it's done without coordinating with the Taliban, of course. One of the sources told CNN it may take a few hours before U.S. officials are able to identify the individuals who carry out the apparent suicide bombing, which should confirm ISIS-K was responsible. Yeah, it is ISIS-K. ISIS has taken credit for it as well, and that's where we're at. Let's see what this hog has to say, though.
It's not woke. It's not politically correct. But, as we would say, stack their bodies up and let them see it. In other words, be forceful, be bold, so that the Taliban understand we're going to get our people and then we're going to leave. Listen, you can tell them right now, you're going to get a country out of this. Our president has made that decision. Do you want to do it dead, or do you want to do it walking into empty rooms because we left in peace?
From what you know of being there on the ground, what are the potential military options here? I mean, I guess you could threaten to drop a JDAM on the presidential palace and get rid of Baradar.
Dude, are you fucking dumb? Why would you do that? That's literally the opposite of what you're supposed to do. This is some of the fucking dumbest arguments I've ever heard. It's like so dumb that idiotic 14-year-olds in my chat think it's dumb. There are moronic 14-year-olds who are horny for fucking war in my chat that have better ideas than this.
Given the fact that there are so many civilians crowding around that airport, what do you do to respond to what happened today?
Yeah, those civilians are human shields, and the Taliban knows it.
Dude, what are you saying? It's not the Taliban that did this, dude. What the fuck? It's kind of wild that the only thing that like the New York Times is covering, like the main thing that they're covering, is 12 service members killed in explosions outside of Kabul airport. 80 people total have died, bro. What about the fucking Afghans that have died? Like, no one gives a shit. It's crazy. Like, when you look at this, it's not even on the byline, dude. Look at this. Look. This is the New York Times, okay? The gray lady, the bastion of honesty and journalism. It's supposed to be like the most important outlet that we have. Bombing strikes Kabul, killing at least 12 troops and dozens of Afghan civilians. First of all, it's not even true. There's like 80 that have died so far. Hundreds that have been injured. Like, they have no number. They do not care. It's nuts. The ISIS claims ID of the attacker is Abdul Rahman el-Logari from the Logar province. Says he reached within 5 meters of U.S. forces before detonating his explosives. Like, this is the dude. ISIS is claiming responsibility, saying that this is the dude that did it. They fucking ID'd him. They ID'd the province that he's from. Apparently, there's another explosion that occurred now, totaling the number of explosions at 4. Just felt the shockwave of a very large explosion in Kabul. The whole house shook, says Marcus Yam, who is a LA Times roving foreign correspondent and photojournalist who's in Kabul right now. The last time we relied on the Taliban to stop terrorism, this is what happened. So only a fool would have been surprised at the result. Wait, first of all, no, dumbass. As a matter of fact, not the Taliban, but we literally could have had Osama bin Laden before 9/11. Like, we could have had him before 9/11. Except the American military, or the CIA, literally oversaw the assassination of the dude who was gonna hand off Osama bin Laden to the CIA or to America in general 2 days before 9/11 happened. So he's fucking insane and wrong. That's great. Also, General McKenzie, that we saw earlier, that we missed out on when he was talking, said that earlier potential attacks on U.S. troops had been thwarted by the Taliban. So just remember that whenever people come in here and fucking say like, oh, dude, so you're siding with the Taliban? I'm like, yes, the U.S. military's official position is coordinating with the Taliban, which is the functioning Afghan government, okay? Candace Owens is siding with the Taliban on their anti-vaxxer initiatives. Afghanistan has vaccinated approximately 2.4% of the population, source Reuters. They're a nation of about 40 million people. Why aren't they all dead? Why have they only recorded 7,000 deaths? Bigger question, why is the Taliban banning the vaccine? Dude, conservatives have like sided with the Taliban so aggressively. It's wild. On all the fucking bad shit that they've done. Is there a chance that the Taliban could be toppled by ISIS? No, of course not, dude. Unless the United States decides to go back in which case that instability could bring so much more chaos, and God knows what the fuck will happen. The only way that ISIS would take over Afghanistan, which is very, very, very unlikely, is if they're getting like full funding and support from the CIA. And then also the U.S. military decides to reinvade Afghanistan, and then the Taliban are fighting the U.S. military. Outside of that, no, dude, the fucking ISIS-K. I don't even know how many fucking members are out there in operation in Afghanistan, but it can't be too much. You think ISIS and the Taliban can strike a deal because they have a common enemy? They don't have a common enemy. The Taliban are aligned with the U.S. government. They are defending U.S. troops. They are defending U.S. interests. The United States gave them Afghanistan. Of course, they're going to defend the United States. ISIS just wants power and control. And instability is the only way that a small militant organization, a small militant branch of ISIS, could ever even imagine having a small crumb of power. Advocating to like bomb Taliban right now is the dumbest fucking thing you could do, because then you're literally handing Afghanistan on a gift wrap to ISIS and further chaos. Glenn Greenwald had a rare good take, apparently. The deep state ghouls on CNN insinuating or even stating that the Taliban wanted this attack and may have ever helped launch it know that they're lying. They're desperate to find a way to keep U.S. troops in Afghanistan and keep the money spigot pouring. H.R. McMaster was one of those military officials, along with Madison Kelly, whom the corporate media valorized during the Trump years. Oh my God, he said literally the exact same fucking things I said earlier today. Wow, surprising that Glenn Greenwald forgot to hyper focus on like some dumbass anti-SJW shit.
Good evening, Brett. Officials here like to boast that right now the Pentagon is pulling off what may be the largest airlift in history. But there have been several critical days of this operation that the commander-in-chief hasn't wanted to talk about it as the world watches.
I've made this a priority for my administration from the outset.
He was talking about cybersecurity. No talk about Afghanistan policy, aside from this punchline.
Mr. President, if Americans are still in Afghanistan after the deadline, what will you do?
You'll be the first person I'll call.
So what's so funny?
Of course, it's a very important question.
Oh, fucking give me a break, dude. What's so funny, Mr. President? Like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, literally, shut the fuck up. They're such like, oh my God, dude. Oh my fucking God. The media, they're such like whiny little fucking worms, man. They're fucking, I'm losing my mind. I just like, what's so funny, Mr. President? People are dying. Like, bitch, you don't give a fuck. Behind closed doors, you're the type of dude that's literally like, yeah, we should fucking nuke Afghanistan, kill all those people. All they know is fucking sand and war. Who gives a fuck? But then you're like, oh my God. Oh, like, I'm clutching my fucking pearls so hard. What's so funny, Mr. President? Like, shut the fuck up, dude. A sense of where the Senate Republicans are heading. Hawley, Blackburn both call for Biden to resign. Graham said impeach. Marshall is a caveat. President Biden must face the American people and address questions of how we will respond to this massacre, or he should resign immediately. Yeah, Biden should fucking face the American people. Pretty funny that they want to impeach him. Like, not gonna lie. Critical support to Joseph Robinette Biden, a anti-imperialist hero, at least in Afghanistan. I'm a fucking Biden bro, so, you know, I'm gonna be real toxic. Media's got Biden derangement syndrome, boys. That's right. They got fucking BDS. Biden derangement syndrome, baby. That's right, and you fucking know it. Damn, you turn into a heavy lib from exposure? Yes, dude. Liberalism is when you fucking defend the decision to pull out of Afghanistan instead of continuing 20 years of warfare that got us to this point to begin with. Just say you're only aesthetically in the game, and that's it. I mean, I was also a Trump supporter when he wanted to fucking pull out of Afghanistan, so I don't know what you want from me. Which one is it? Am I a lib? Or am I worse, a Trump supporter?
As the clock ticks towards a final flight out of Kabul, the president's focus on domestic issues, including the Build Back Better agenda last night, is worrying some critics.
He was wasting precious time this week, burning the phones up, pressuring Democrats to vote for a $5 trillion spend.
Dude, that's so fucking, that is such... These people make me so mad. Demons, all of them. Fucking demons, dude. Listen, motherfucker, you can walk and chew gum at the same time, okay? It's important to continue applying domestic pressure. And these fucking pieces of shit are using dead American military and fucking 60 dead Afghan civilians as an opportunity to be like, yeah, we shouldn't do this infrastructure bill. Fuck you, dude. Oh my fucking God.
Spending bill and tax bill. That's what he was wasting time on.
It's not a waste of time, you fucking piece of shit. American infrastructure is important. It's still a fucking necessity. It's still gonna happen, okay? It still needs to happen. Oh my fucking God, they're disgusting. These people are such assholes, dude. To say that today's loss of American lives in Kabul is sickening does not begin to do justice for what has happened is enraging. And Joe Biden is responsible. It's now clear beyond doubt that he neither has the capacity nor the will to lead. He must resign. Oh my God, dude. Josh Hawley back in April. President Biden should withdraw troops in Afghanistan by May 1st of the Trump administration plan, but better late than never. It's time for this forever war to end. Of course, dude. Of course. I hate this so much. Like, it's not only fucking Trump's evacuation plan that's being followed on. It's also the correct thing to do. Adding an additional military is psychotic.
Why haven't we heard the president say the United States does not negotiate with terrorists? Is that still the U.S. policy?
Bro, Jan Psaki should literally be like, one man's terrorist, another man's freedom fighter, bitch. Why does Fox News keep posting about fucking Proud Boys as though they're honorable Americans when they're literally white supremacist terrorists? Why? Because they fucking ideologically align with them. The American government has always had a history of negotiating with terrorists. Terrorism is a completely political term that is absolutely meaningless that we designate to our fucking, that we designate the non-state actors and even in some instances state actors, as long as like we want to fucking destroy habeas corpus and rob them of any sort of fucking humanity and literally just fucking lock them forever, okay? And torture them like previous fucking administrations did, maybe even this one, who knows? That's what terrorism is. It's not to say that this administration aligns ideologically with the Taliban. Republicans do, okay? But, you know, and they're openly doing that. But it's more so that, like, this is now the Afghan government. This is now the Afghan government. Thankfully, thanks to the incredible work that the Trump administration prior put together. So if you have a fucking problem with that, then, you know, take it up with your fucking president that some of your audience still thinks is the current president.
So they say they don't negotiate with terrorists. What they do is they have active discussions with the Taliban.
Dog, we don't negotiate with terrorists. We just arm them, okay? And we drum up support for an insurrection. And then when they decide to like turn those arms towards us, then they're terrorists and we can't negotiate with them so that we can engage in active conflict. Ultimately, 20 years after that happens, you finally deliver the entirety of the country back to them with a fucking gift wrap. And then you go back to the we don't negotiate with terrorists position that led us to this situation in the first place. Perhaps we should have negotiated with the terrorists in the form of the Taliban in 2001, in which case we could have fucking gotten Osama bin Laden when he was under their control, okay? And we didn't need to do the 20-year fucking war that cost like $2 trillion and endless amounts of fucking civilian lives. This dumbass, dude, we don't negotiate with terrorists. The irony is, the we don't negotiate with terrorists originally came from the popular iteration of we don't negotiate with terrorists with respect to the fucking Taliban. Literally comes from George W. Bush saying we don't negotiate with terrorists when the Taliban was like, we'll give you Osama bin Laden, but there are conditions to our release of Osama bin Laden. In the run-up to the 20th anniversary of 9/11, Donald Trump is doing interviews with conservative media, in this case Hugh Hewitt, suggesting Osama bin Laden wasn't that big of a deal and wasn't a monster. What? And we took out the founder of ISIS al-Baghdadi and then, of course, Soleimani. Now, just so you understand, Soleimani's bigger by many, many times than Osama bin Laden. The founder of ISIS is bigger by many, many times al-Baghdadi than Osama bin Laden. Oh, my God. He's saying that because, bro, he's literally saying that because Obama killed Osama bin Laden, so he doesn't want to give that to him. Oh, my God. He's so funny. Dude, I love Trump. How are you not going to love Trump when he says stuff like this, dude? The founder of ISIS is many, many times bigger al-Baghdadi than Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden had one hit, and it was a bad one in New York City, the World Trade Center. But these other two guys were monsters. They were monsters. Osama, not a monster. That's awesome.
These American service members who gave their lives, it's an overused word, but it's totally appropriate here, were heroes. Heroes who've been engaged in a dangerous, selfless mission to save the lives of others. They were part of the bravest, most capable, the most selfless military on the face of the earth. Being the father of an Army major who served for a year in Iraq and before that was in Kosovo as a U.S. attorney for the better part of 6 months, in the middle of a war. When he came home after a year in Iraq,
This just sucks.
we have some sense, like many of you do, what the families of these brave heroes are feeling today. You get this feeling like you're being sucked into a black hole in the middle of your chest. There's no way out. My heart aches for you.
This is why he is the
Sacred
griefer
obligation.
in chief,
All
dude.
of you.
He's grieving hard as fuck right now.
Families, we've been made aware by our intelligence community that the ISIS-K, an arch enemy, the Taliban, people who were freed when both those prisons were opened, has been planning a complex set of attacks on the United States personnel and others. This is why, from the outset, I've repeatedly said this mission was extraordinarily dangerous, and why I've been so
not gonna go
determined
back
to
in,
limit
right?
the duration of this mission. And as I've been in constant contact with our senior military leaders, and I mean constant, they made it clear that we can and we must complete this mission, and we will. And that's what I've ordered them to do. We will not be deterred by terrorists. We will not let them stop our mission. We will continue the evacuation. I've also ordered my commanders to develop operational plans to strike ISIS-K assets, leadership, and facilities. We will respond with force and precision at our time, at the place we choose, in a moment of our choosing.
He's not saying he's
There's been
escalating troop
complete
presence, so that's
unanimity.
good.
Those who have served through the ages have drawn inspiration from the book of Isaiah, when the Lord says, "Whom shall I send? Who shall go for us?" The American military has been answering for a long time. Here I am, Lord, send me. Here I am, send me.
Yeah, okay, dude. Shut the fuck up.
Each one of these women and men of our armed forces are the heirs of that tradition of sacrifice, of volunteering to go in harm's way, to risk everything, not for glory, not for profit, but to defend what we love and the people we love.
Yeah,
I ask that
that's
you
the
join
theory.
me
In
now.
theory, but it is literally for
A moment of
glory and
silence.
profit.
But the military, from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the commanders in the field, have all contacted me one way or another, usually by letter, saying they subscribe to the mission as designed.
I love when people like impeach this guy like he has any say on what's going on. This motherfucker doesn't even know what's happening around him right now, dude.
Mr. President, there had not been a U.S. service member killed in combat in Afghanistan since February of 2020. You set a deadline, you pulled troops out, you sent troops back in, and now 12 Marines are dead. You said the buck stops with you. Do you bear any responsibility for the way that things have unfolded in the last 2 weeks?
I bear responsibility for fundamentally all that's happened of late. But here's the deal. You know, I wish you'd one day say these things. You know as well as I do that the former president made a deal with the Taliban that he would get all American forces out of Afghanistan by May 1. In return, he was given a commitment that the Taliban would continue to attack others, but would not attack any American forces. Remember that? I'm being serious. I'm asking you a question. Because before
He's fucking nailing this,
wait a minute.
dude.
I'm asking you a question.
Absolutely nailing
Is that
this.
accurate?
Like the entire fucking interview, the entire conversation. I mean, he's very slow.
That people have an issue with pulling out of Afghanistan.
Oh, God.
The way that things have
But he's fucking murdering it.
And so, as I said before, and this is the last comment I'll make, if Osama bin Laden, as well as al-Qaeda, had chosen to launch an attack when they left Saudi Arabia out of Yemen, would we have ever gone to Afghanistan? Even though the Taliban completely controlled Afghanistan at the time, would we have ever gone? I know it's not fair to ask you questions, it's rhetorical, but raise your hand if you think we should have gone and given up thousands of lives and tens of thousands of wounded. Our interest in going was to prevent al-Qaeda from reemerging, first to get bin Laden, wipe out al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, prevent that from happening again. As I've said 100 times, terrorism is metastasized around the world. We have greater threats coming out of other countries, a heck of a lot closer to the United States. We don't have military encampments there. We don't keep people there. We have over-the-horizon capability to keep them from going after us. Ladies and gentlemen, it was time to end a 20-year war. Thank you so much.
Motherfucking boss man
For those of
Biden,
you
dude.
catching, U.S. Central
Absolutely.
Command said today
Boss man
that 12
Biden
U.S.
shit.
service members
Frame
were
held,
killed and 15
Sigma
injured
behavior,
in two suicide
absolutely
bombings
cumstered.
detonated. The president
Really
also
good
expressed a
overall.
commitment to
I was
continue
very
to
happy with his reaction. I was very happy with the things that he said, like the original posturing and like the fucking Bible quote and whatever. The most interesting guy in the end was Ducey's son. More like douchey, am I right?
But it felt like he was trying to have it both ways, in the sense, what Joyce called a balancing act is exactly right. He's trying to say the mission will go on, we're not going to be deterred by terrorism, but then also saying the mission is going to wrap up in basically the next 72 to 96 hours in the coming days, that he's going to follow this deadline. Ultimately, though, my takeaway from that press conference especially, which was pretty illuminating and a good window into what he's thinking, was that he is passing the buck on a lot of this. When he was asked by Steve Ducey, right at that final question, do you take responsibility? He said, of course I take responsibility, but, and then he went on to blame Donald Trump, to say that this was the generals, to say that this was an unwinnable war, and a host of other things that ultimately made it seem like he is not taking responsibility for this crisis on the ground in Kabul.
What a fucking piece of shit, dude. What a fucking piece of shit. Fuck mainstream media so much. What a fucking dumbass, warmongering, bloodthirsty piece of fucking garbage. Oh, he took responsibility, but he actually didn't. He still blamed it. Like, suck my fucking cock. How dare you get to fucking bully people exclusively because they're not fucking banging on the war drums as hard as you wanted them to. You fucking disgust me, dude. Fuck that op-ed person, okay? Suck my fucking dick, you fucking pathetic baboon. But that piece of fucking garbage WAPO op-ed person, you go fucking drop into Afghanistan, you motherfucker, dude. Seriously. The Greg Ducey was actually correct in asking a dumbass fucking question about like how, are you taking responsibility? What more do you want? The motherfucker took responsibility. You think Trump will ever take responsibility for anything? Shut the fuck up, dude. Fuck you. That's all I gotta say. Dude, I am literally so fucking riding with Biden, and Biden is not even fucking funny right now, dude. It is literally unfunny how hard I'm fucking riding with Biden, okay?
Richard, the president touched on it. We've heard a little bit about maybe cooperation is too much of a word here, but the Taliban and the U.S. working to some extent to try to understand the threat.
I think cooperation is the word. President Biden was talking about specifically telling the Taliban about buses that need to go through and make their way to the airport. I've seen that in action. I've seen the Taliban working with a variety of international organizations. I think partner is absolutely the way to describe it. It is an unusual relationship. Earlier we heard that now the U.S. is sharing limited intelligence with the Taliban.
Okay, first and foremost, let me just lay down a couple fucking rules, okay? The only reason why you would ever be surprised that, like, oh my God, now we have to put down our arms and fight side by side with the Taliban against ISIS is if you are a fucking dumbass neoliberal or a neocon and you see the world through an ideological lens rather than one that revolves around dialectical materialism specifically. Yes, the people that you were fighting yesterday are now your fucking allies because that's how it worked. There is no like ideological reason for why you're fighting the Taliban and then the Taliban is fighting back against you. It's for power. It's for material necessity. It is not about fucking, oh, they hate us because they hate us. So, of course, if you're fed a healthy diet of imperialist, American exceptionist propaganda, then you are going to turn around and be like, I don't understand. These guys are bad guys and we're the good guys. What the fuck? Why are we friends now? Because that's how it works. It's for fucking money, okay? The reason why you went there was literally just for money. Shut the fuck up. Sorry. They're your enemies when you are staying there. Now they're your friends because there's a actual enemy that brings you guys together. For the record, also, I was completely fucking right. Every single thing I said, Joe Biden also said, and he did a decent job overall of combating the fucking narrative. No escalation of war, no troop presence escalation. Good, except for drone strikes, obviously. We'll see what happens ultimately. This guy, Richard Engels, the guy that you see on your screen, is like a psychopath, dude. He is a bloodthirsty monster. It is deeply depressing to watch what could be the final Afghans loaded up and flying out of their country. Afghans without hope. Now millions live in fear, a humiliating end for the U.S. and Afghanistan. Like, this guy is constantly, like, he's not a journalist, dude. He is a propagandist. You are not doing actual journalism. If you're fucking so blinded by your own like sense of humiliation, sense of pride in the American imperialist machine, like you are not a good person. You are a fucking bad person. You're a very bad person.